Thanks for tuning in to The Honest Hour. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo, and we have quite a bit of stuff to talk about today. For those viewers in the TikTok live, those are topics that we're going to discuss after we go over what just took place in the Netherlands. So, as everybody knows, there's a huge protest going on. Maybe not everybody knows about it because the mainstream media isn't talking about it very much. And the reason for it is because I think it is organic. It is not something that is staged. However, I believe now it has become co opted, and I will explain why. So, just a brief summary as to what's going on. Netherlands government was like, yo, farmers, we're going to eliminate 30% of your farms to form what's going on. And the Netherlands were like, no. The farmers were like, no, we ain't doing that. So they started protesting. And then other countries started joining them as well. And this was largely because of the green agenda plans, right? So Italy, Netherlands, Germany, Poland, I think were the ones that really joined them. And then you have Bulgaria, Macedonia, and a few other places. But in the Netherlands specifically, you had the truckers join, you had the fishermen join, and now the firefighters are joining. And what just happened yesterday is we'll get into that in a second. The supermarket that's called Picnic, I believe is how you pronounce it, which is owned by the Gates Foundation, went up in flames. Why'd that happen? Well, my first thought was obviously it was the farmers. They're upset because this plant is selling synthetic foods, synthetic meats, and they have electrical vehicles to do their deliveries. So it's a direct competition to the organic farmers, the real farmers. But I thought about it some more, and now I believe it was something that will be used to criticize and demonize the farmers in the near future. So I don't think it was them. I don't know who did it, but those are my thoughts at the moment. And I think that it will be used against them. And this will be the way society at large will be introduced to what's taking place in the Netherlands. And it will be used to defend the green energy, the climate change. Activists stating that the Netherlands farmers who are protesting are racist, bigot, homophobes, and they're nationalist, so they're bad. And this is what happens when you have unhinged people like that in your country. And so this is going to be used to attack the farmers across the world, I believe. That's what's going to take place with it. So we'll just keep our eyes on it. Something I've been talking about for quite some time is the rise of domestic T-word. I don't know how much I can really say, but, there's foreign T-word and then there's domestic T-word. Catch my drift. We called people that were in the Islamic tribes this during that time in September, right? Although they were from Saudi Arabia. Pretty interesting. And it's pretty interesting that small nose, big hats. We're laughing about it. Anyway, so that's the main thing I wanted to talk about. And then really quick, and then we'll jump into all of this. Russia is now offering citizenship to all Ukrainians. So that just shows you that Russia is winning the war. Russia is going to be World War III champions. And there's nothing really that we can do about it, but we still give them $400 million, sending them new equipment. It's all insane. But what are you going to do? All you can do is, in my opinion, swim sideways. That's the best move that you have. Are you being serious? 100% serious. 100% serious. The United States and the West are falling right now. I just watched an interesting video by Edward Dunton. He is I believe he's a psychology or sociology professor. I can't remember exactly which one he is. Either way, it was a video called The Reign-In Effect. And basically, this is where leftism goes into its completion, which is complete degeneracy and lower levels of intelligence among those that support it. Why should all? Yeah, I'll get into it. And so what we have in the West is a bunch of people that are becoming liberals, leftists, and the liberal leftist population is shrinking, and those that are joining it are of lower brain stuff. I don't know how much I can say here without it being triggered, but they're of lower brain capacity, if you will. And what's going to eventually happen, I mean, like right now it's 3-1 for every high brain power individual being liberal to 1 conservative. So 3-1 in favor of, we could call it a marriage certificate. Repression of what? We'll get into all of it. So what are your sources? What are my sources for what? This is a study that was done by Edward Dunton. He has a YouTube channel. He's a professor. He wrote a whole book on this. Society has been a downfall ever since femininity has been pushed. On equality, scroll up and read the comments above it. So anyway, what I'm getting at here is people of the left-wing persuasion typically don't have as many children. And so those that are of a higher brain power, if you will, tend to have no children. And the conservative-minded individuals tend to have more children. Those who are more religious tend to have more children. And they are now, basically what's going to happen is you're going to have the flip, right? So you have all the leftists, 3-1 big brain power to conservatives, but then it's going to flip into 3-1 big brain power for conservatives. So every 3 big brain conservatives, there's 1 big brain liberal. That's the way it's going. The future is in favor of conservatism. The future is in favor of right wing. Yeah, I know. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. This is the flip that's happening. This is the flip that's happening right now. We're witnessing it, where the elite of the left-wing persuasion, which kind of rule everything, it's switching into the right-wing persuasion's hands, and the future is going to be Republican, conservative, nationalist. That's what we're seeing. But unfortunately, the intelligence overall will be decreasing. Doesn't mean that it's just going to be a bunch of really, really high brain power, right-wingers. Doesn't necessarily mean that. And you have proof. Has this flipped happened before? Yeah, it has in the Victorian era. So in the Victorian era, you see exactly where we're going into now. So that's a historical mark that you could use, showing that if the data pans out, if they're right in their predictions in 50 years, we're going to be going to something back into a Victorian era style of life. What was the study again? It was a study on the Rayner effect. So R-A-Y-N-E-R. It's his latest video on his YouTube channel. He's a professor. He's the one who actually did the study. Check it out. Who was left wing in the Victorian era? The masses. The masses were. The peasants, quote unquote, were. And the elite were of the right wing persuasion. So that is the closest thing that we have in Western society to say where we're heading towards. And it's quite beneficial. I mean, now you look at, there's another, thing where you can tell that we're in a falling empire, a falling civilization, which I've named several times. I've explained this several times. Civilizations across time. What even is this? This is the Honest Hour, bro. It's a podcast where you're going to hear stuff where you won't hear politically, culturally, anywhere else, or you'll be really hard pressed to find, because a lot of the information I'm telling you is really, really suppressed. And so as long as we can live here on TikTok, YouTube, all those places, I'm here to distill the truth and explore and learn with everybody. You know, the big thing that I like to say here, and this isn't mine, this is a quote that I like that Owen Benjamin uses, and that is, I may be wrong, but I'm not lying. And that's the big distinguishing quality between us and other media sources. It's not information is the problem. I don't know what you're talking about. So I forgot where I was at exactly with the study that we were just talking about, but it's very interesting. And I disagree with almost everything. So bye. Peace out. Victorian era is a long way back. What makes you think that? But you just said educated would flip. Yeah, I did. I don't know what's so hard about this. It's a cycle. It's cyclical. So elite left wings, and then now they're right wingers. And then they become left wingers. And then they become right wingers, the elite with the high brain power. But the peasants weren't educated. Yes, I know. So the educated will flip in favor of the conservatives, just like the educated right now are in favor of the leftists, the liberals. And so it's a flippening that will take place. And so most people who will support the left-wing ideologies will be of lower brain power, lower education, etc. As of right now, the stereotype is the opposite. I don't know what's so hard to follow about this. Yes, it's flippening. That's the thing. Right now, we're in the middle of the process. So if this trajectory is right, what they're predicting in 50 years, so by the time I'm 76, this will be the reality that we live in. If it's true, if it holds, if the predictive model holds, which we'll see. So most of us in here, God willing, will be able to see if this is accurate or not. And our children and our grandchildren will definitely live in this. But that's where it's favoring. When is the Christian right going to... I don't think anybody has the right to do that right now. Our moral compass has been gone for so long. Everybody has skeletons. Not everybody has skeletons in their closet. I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I know a few people who don't have skeletons in their closet that are just very open. But, we all have our issues. We all have things that we need to work on that we could be better at. And I'm not against that type of behavior, but you would need to reach a society of moral excellence. And that'll just be really hard to do. There would have to be a high moral ground which society has to work off of. In some party with Epstein. Yeah, exactly. So, it's... Yeah. But we can get into these topics now. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. So repression is good. So one of the main things that I'm referring to in repression is your animalistic proclivities, if you will. I don't know how much I can say, but the SEX. Repressing that is good, especially for men. Women don't really have this issue because their drives are much different and their focus is much different. They can go longer periods of time than we can. You have tried both, or you just mainly repress your whole life? When I was younger, no. No. Did not repress much. But as I'm getting older, I'm married, have a growing family. Yes, I do that now. And it does help tremendously. And we'll get to ban all contraceptives. It actually ties into what we're discussing right now. So with the repression of that, it allows you to focus your energy, your creative energy, your life force energy into other ways, into other things, which will hopefully be more fruitful and beneficial to you than just having loveless, relationships and just looking to feel good, just seeking pleasure, essentially. So as opposed to seeking pleasure, you're seeking purpose. And so that's where repression becomes good, because you're no longer, you're beating those animalistic tendencies for pleasure, and you're supplanting them with purpose. That's the end goal, is that you're replacing them with purpose. And now this also works when it comes to, let's say, today I watched a video on TikTok, on Twitter, of a street fight that took place. And in the street fight, it was really dumb because one of the guys had a knife. And the guys who were instigating the fight, at least from where the video was shown, did not. They were unarmed. Really, really dumb. Well, they could not repress their emotions and swallow their pride and step away from the dude who had the knife. Well, the dude who had the knife ended up sticking somebody in their jugular right on the spot, unalived. Saw the whole thing. It was really, really gruesome. Everywhere, just it was crazy. Right on the spot, dropped. And, so repression in that instance would have been a very smart thing to do. And we also know that during civilizations' rise and fall, during the rise, the most repressed, the highest level of repression is there. And so repression correlates and is a leading factor of progress, creativity, productivity, and higher morality within the society. So it is very good. And now we see the opposite taking place right now, where we have this liberation of everything. And it's very obvious to anybody who isn't blinded that we're just going in complete degeneracy. And it's because nobody is holding anybody accountable for their actions, because it's liberation. It's this intense individualism. There's no concern with the collective at a true level. At the surface, they use it for virtue signaling, but in reality, it's not there. And this is because of liberation. And so, yeah, you don't need contraceptives because nature has provided you with your own contraceptive. Firstly, only have relations with somebody who you intend to procreate with. And that doesn't mean every time you are getting intimate that you would need to seek procreation, because there's only a handful of days in the month when one that makes no logical sense. It does make logical sense. So listen to me. That is how society used to work, and that's where we're heading towards. I mean, if you just caught the beginning of the stream anyway. So, and it's also healthier. It's healthier for society. And so if you ban all contraceptives, you then need to repress your natural proclivities to do things with somebody who you don't want to create a family with. Who are you to tell someone who they should have relations with? I'm not. You can see as you wish. You can do as you wish. I'm just telling you, it would be better for society from a logical standpoint, from a coherent standpoint, and from a spiritual standpoint. It would build stronger nations. It would build stronger people. And so if you get rid of them because you don't need them, actually, because nature takes care of it, and the way nature takes care of it is this: you can only conceive a few days out of the month with a woman. You can't do it the other times. Contraceptives aren't used for stopping pregnancy. Some are used. Allegedly, that's what they say, and it's nonsense, because things like birth control actually do more harm to the woman in the long run. Fact. And it's also a lot of the reasons why these soy boys, beta males, are even getting women to begin with, because it messes with their hormones. It messes with the type of man that they would want to be with. Fact. And there's a bunch of other things too. I mean, it's just detrimental to the body. It really is. He has a very one-dimensional perspective. No, actually, you guys have the one-dimensional perspective because you're unable to see behind your brainwashed thinking. You're unable to even begin to entertain the thought of something other than what you've been indoctrinated with. Well, that's why people have doctors to keep them up to date. And most of the doctors in the Western world, they're like in the top 5 leading causes of unaliving people. Top 5 leading causes of unaliving people. Where is your medical degree? I don't need a medical degree to talk about this stuff. My family member literally has to use birth control. Yeah, that's what they say. But if she had a better diet, she'd be better. It's mostly diet that causes that. Fact also. So it's nonsense. It's a nonsense tool. I mean, you guys don't understand this. A lot of people are like, I'm against big pharma. I'm against big corporations. And then you're over here defending big pharma and defending big corporations. It makes no logical sense. You don't even see the contradictions in your worldview at all, because there are natural ways to do this, as there are natural contraceptives, such as don't have intimate relations during the most fertile periods of the month. Otherwise, I mean, if you do that, then guess what? Your chances of conceiving are extremely low. Extremely low. About as low as you putting on something. These are just truths that most people aren't aware of, and it's because you've been corrupted and you've been indoctrinated. Pseudoscience diet doesn't fix everything. Tired of hearing loons say that. You know, the creator of the modern medicine in which you praise stated that that food can cure all disease. Okay? No, sir. It's an illness they have, a hormonal imbalance, which is because of their diets, bro. It's really simple. It's not even debatable. It really isn't. I mean, people that want to debate that are just, clutching onto their religion. That's cool. You can do that. It's fine. But yeah, you don't need them. More kids, more welfare, more reliance on the government. False. Why can't you say more kids, stronger families, less reliant on the government? That's insane thinking. That's insane thinking. No, they don't make a certain hormone. You can get the hormone with the food. I agree with you on that. All this non-food stuff people eat. Yeah, no, you can change your diet. This is factual. I mean, nobody that lives naturally has this issue. Look at all the tribes. When is the last time you've heard a tribe woman saying, "Oh, well, my cycle's irregular, so I need to go to get Western medicine for what's that thing called? Birth control?" It's insane. How do you feed all your kids without a living wage? What do you mean? Grow your own food then, bro. Get a farm. Help out a farmer. Live on a farm. It's simple. If your wages are that low, or just put in the work. Tell that to people that try to cure. There ain't even any proof that exists to begin with, by the way. They've never isolated it. Fact. Anyway. Sir, you don't know what you're talking about. Sir, you don't know what you're talking about. Before contraceptives, my grandfather had 17. How is that false? What are you talking about? Your grandpa was your great-grandparents were crushers. I hope I can have 17 kids. That would be awesome. That would be a blessing. The more kids, the bigger the blessing. Kids are a blessing from God. They're a miracle of life. The more you have, the more God is blessing you, in my opinion. You are a professional talker. Nothing you say means anything. Oops, there it is. All right, you can call me a professional talker. That's cool. And if what I say has no meaning to you, then why are you here? My wife will die if she had another kid. Sexless marriage. No, you don't need contraceptives. If you paid attention to what I said, there are periods in the month where she is not fertile. My brother. Like, this is something that you're not taught about. But the chances of her conceiving during those times of the month are very, very slim. As slim as you using your man-made contraceptives. Seriously, fact, look into it. You can only conceive a few times during the month. Yeah, cool. So, you're just effectively killing your bloodline. That's all right. No, in this current economy, the more kids you have, the more poverty you're going to experience. False. 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 Kids are the biggest investments you can make. And kids are extremely cheap. I have 3 of them, so I know this. Children are the best thing in the world. Without children, you have no future. I don't want to be a woman, nor do I want to have kids. That's a pretty selfish way of thinking. I don't want to be a woman either. I'm glad to be a man. I think being a man is the best. I'm going to adopt. So you are killing your bloodline, though. You don't understand what bloodline is. Adoption doesn't mean you continue your bloodline. It means you're raising somebody else's bloodline. So yes, you are. That's okay. You do your thing, though. I don't want to be with a woman. Okay. Do you, I guess. Blood doesn't mean family, dude. That is the dumbest shit I ever heard. It literally means that. It literally means that. Literally. By definition, it means that. My children are my blood. Why are they my blood? Because I conceived them. They came from my bloodline and my germline. Why do people not take care of their kids then? Does that, dude, you're using no logic at all. Like, just because people can be bad parents doesn't mean that blood isn't family. By literally, it is. How do you have a family if it isn't blood, dude? That's insane. I would hate to be your kid. I don't want you to be my kid. I'm not here to be anybody's daddy. Got enough responsibilities. Love? What about love? Love doesn't make you family either. Blood makes you family. Love can make you feel as if you're family with somebody, but you're not. Literally, you're not if you don't have shared blood with them. It's the groundwork of a family. Love is the groundwork of a family. Well, God and love are the groundwork of the family. Yes. You don't understand the current economic state of I understand it better than you do. I guarantee it. More kids is a blessing. You need more kids. The society's collapsing. Straight up. In New York, they're having to make robots to take care of the elderly people because the elderly people decided not to have children, and the children they have don't like them, so they don't want to take care of them. In Japan, same situation, bro. This is happening all over the world, and it's because people aren't having children. Hey, you saw the preparation. Yeah, it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. I have tons of blood relatives who aren't my family. They literally are your family, though. You can say that they're not your family, but they literally are. I don't think you understand what actual family means. Why should I care about ending my bloodlines? I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that. It's pretty self-evident, but if you don't want to, you don't want to. I mean, that's the whole life wants to keep on living, right? That's the whole thing about life. It's collapsed faster with more and more mouths to feed. Our system, so insane. I have tons of brothers and sisters to continue my bloodline. I'll have my own type of family. Yeah, but it won't be your family's bloodline. And that's okay, I guess. I mean, if that's what you want, you do you. I'm not here to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm just telling you what will definitely make society a better place, what can make nations stronger on a cultural level, on a family level. But if you want to do that, hey, go ahead, do it. I don't want to have my own kids. There are kids who need love. Okay. I understand what you mean. When you're old, you want something to care for you, me too. And it's also more than that, too. I mean, that's a huge thing, right? It's a huge thing. But also, I think any real man would want their last name to live in perpetuity if they could. Any man of any character would want their last name to continue. The only way that happens is you have more children to continue your name. And the bloodline, the germline, all of it. So, yeah, and that's also another thing. Like, what do you do when you're old? That's when most people realize they've messed up when they didn't have kids, especially women, and it's very sad. So, yeah, I mean, these things are so obvious. It's not even worth debating with people. It really isn't. Like, if you don't see it, you don't see it. It's, you're probably contributing to the fall of society as it is. When I'm old, I'll have my children, even if we aren't the same blood, to take care of me. Okay. You do you, I guess. So, I mean, these are very simple things. And then men, we can go into why I blame men are the reason for society sucking today. So basically, it's just because, well, I mean, if you look at it, there's lower testosterone levels. Um, society has become over feminized. Basically, it's all feminine centric. The court system, the culture, all of it. So men have to suppress their masculinity. They don't have to, but they choose to fit in because that's how society is structured now. And then the women have to become over masculine, and the women can't do the men's role, and the men can't do the women role. And so real issues take place when that happens, as we see. And so now you have men as, I once heard a really good way of putting it, especially to now. Men are the ones who will stand up and defend society. But now men won't even just stand up to their wife to say, yo, I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to go do this. As soon as their wife is like, you can't do that. I mean, why are you going to do that? It's like 10 o'clock at night. We have to work in the morning. The kids are sleeping and, you should just stay home. Most men can't be like, yo, woman, I'm going to go do this. They can't and they won't. And so that's where a huge problem lies, because the nation begins in the home. And so if the man can't even be the king in his own castle, then you're not going to have many real men in society to stand up for what is true. We are brainwashed at school to hate human repopulation. Yeah, 100%. I would agree the court system does lean more towards the woman. 100%. Not more, not just a little bit, not just a lean. It's like completely, as does the whole of society. Anybody who shows any masculine inclination, any masculine nature that is quote unquote alpha, is looked at as being arrogant, as being rude, as being womanizing, as being misogynistic. When in reality, that's just being a man. And they tell you that chauvinism is bad. They tell you that, having a role is bad as well between men and women. They tell you that's bad when it's not. It's actually more caring for the man to know his role and vice versa. I'm a more muscular woman. I don't think that's a bad thing. Nobody made anything comment about like muscles. Men are still king with the wife. I don't know a wife who treats their husband otherwise. I do. I do. I see it all. I see it a lot. And even the so-called kings that you probably know in your life, I bet you they get their, a lot of them are cucked, man. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is in our society. It really is. And that says masculine. You've said the word 1,000 times and you can't read. Where does it say masculine? I thought you said muscular. That's my fault. I read that as muscular. That's my bad. So, okay. You're more masculine as a woman. Well, it's pretty odd that, you go the other way too. My last comment. No, you're good. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Yeah, that's also the interesting thing about, those who like to be with their same gender. They tend to go with somebody who is more of the opposite. It's very fascinating. All like the dudes that I know that are like that tend to be with a very, very feminine men. And all the women that I know that are like that tend to be with a very, very masculine woman. It's interesting. It's interesting. And it says a lot about it, but, we won't go on there too much because, TikTok will probably give me the ban hammer. I've seen the mixed relationship. Yeah, but it's more common the way I described it. For sure. It 100% is. 100%. Yeah, nobody's saying that doesn't happen. Nobody's saying that doesn't happen. Ironically enough, I don't even know if I can say this on here. There's so many things that I just want to start talking about right now, but I can't. I don't know that I can. It was going to be in regards to trans, men or women, I don't know, whatever you would call them, men who think they're the opposite. They tend to have way too much testosterone, and so they're compensating by doing that. It's very fascinating. Edward Dunton is also the source for that. If you're interested, me and my last girlfriend were both pretty masculine. I'm into a certain type. Yeah, I mean, nobody, I think, straight, not straight. I don't think anybody really has a certain type. But I do think that I take that back. The opposite way, it tends to be the type is usually more of the opposite, if you catch my drift, of what they originally are. That's usually the case. I've been around a lot of them in my lifetime. My godfather, got some family friends, and some other people. It seems to be how they all were. So, yeah, and then we can go into no fault divorce. Eliminate no fault divorce. For those of you who are unaware of what no fault divorce is, it's basically saying that you can get a divorce with no reason whatsoever. I think that should be eliminated, and there should be reasons. You should have to provide reasons in order to get a divorce, because the state should want to. It's not just the state, it's society, I should say. The society should want to treat marriages as sacred and divorces to be the worst thing to ever happen and a total last resort. Like, nowadays, it's not uncommon to find somebody who's had 5, 6 divorces. I know people that have had 3 or 4 divorces. It's insane. And so if you eliminate the no-fault divorce and you eliminate contraceptives, well, then you're going to increase your chances of being with somebody that you actually want to be with and that you want to start a family with. 2 people shouldn't have to be stuck together, then don't get married. And it's not, and also you should seek that kind of companionship. You should. It's just natural. It really is. You start a family that way, and that's the best way with a family to be raised in, is a house with both parents. Most bad things that happen to children are usually in households that are split and there's a step parent involved. Yeah, for sure. Well, because the other couples, what do you have to be the glue? You don't have anything that's really the glue. I'm not trying to be offensive, but you really don't. Got somebody that wants to jump in here. Hey, how's it going?
Hello. It's going pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
So you think that we should ban all contraceptives?
Yep.
Why?
It's pretty simple. You don't need them once you realize that you can only conceive with a woman about 3 to 4 days out of the month. So if you're not within that window, your chances of conceiving are like just as.
The ovulation period.
Yeah, I mean, if
It's like upwards of 7 to 14 days a month, but
okay, well, it's a few days out of the month, regardless. And my point still stands that outside of that window, your chances of conceiving are just as low as if you were using contraceptives.
Why are we banning them? Is there like any like economic or like social standing to support a ban? Like,
yeah, I mean, it'll make better relationships. It'll make stronger families. And economically, both.
How does having unwanted children, how does that make a stronger family?
Say that again?
How does having unwanted children make a stronger family?
Well, that's where repression is good comes in. Just be disciplined when you do that. And then if you don't, that's where repression is good comes in on the topics. Because if you are going to be more disciplined in your natural proclivities, then you will have less children if you do it outside of that period.
So you think repression is good? So
it factually is. It definitely is. Factually, 100% it's provable. Yes, it's very good.
You think it's just okay to beat the fuck out of your children?
What? Where does that come in?
Do you know what repression means?
Yes, and obviously you don't.
What is the definition of repression?
It means to withhold something. It means to like not do something.
Withhold something by force. So you're gonna basically
you don't need to use force to withhold. I mean, yes, you can use your energy forces to say I'm not going to do that. You can will something. You understand that repression. There's multiple definitions for a word. You do understand that, right?
So basically, all I'm saying is that you want to have unwanted children, beat the fuck out of them. Or am I wrong?
You are.
What I'm getting at is that you're a woman beater. No, I want to have an educated conversation about this.
Why would I let somebody come on here who's obviously doesn't have the mental capability to even have this conversation at all? Not even a little bit. So why would I let them come on? I am probably the most chill person you will meet. Why would I let him back on? Why would I let him back on? Why would I let you back on? It's Dean. And then you followed me. That's the interesting thing with the people who do all this criticism, do all the hating. Like, then you follow me just so you can troll me. And if you think my takes are trash, well, you can leave because I'm here to learn. You're obviously not here to learn. You're obviously not here to learn at all because, once again, words have multiple definitions. So since you're not here anymore, repression, the restraint, prevention, or inhibition of a feeling, or you're obviously not. So listen to the other definition here, right? So you look up one definition. If you were a really big learner, you would know that there's multiple definitions to the word, to any word. And so if we're talking about repression is good, where does it say repression is good by holding something back by force? Maybe it is in some instances, but in the context in which I am using repression, it would be under this definition: the restraint, prevention, or inhibition of feeling or quality, etc. So to use that in a sentence, the repression of anger can be positively harmful. It's something that I don't know that that's necessarily true. But the repression of anger is probably not a bad thing. Just like the repression of having these desires to do things. You just read the example sentence. I know I did. The repression of sex desires is a good thing for society. The repression of, let's see here, the repression of, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. The repression of, I don't know, the repression of sex. I guess we'll just stick with that. Why would I let you back on? I'm not going to let somebody on again who was extremely disrespectful and arrogant at that. So, no, it's all good. What does your fourth point say? So, repression, good, ban, two. Men are the reason society suck. Thank you, Tito. Repression is a sign of anxiety and depression. It isn't. So I would repress. So for instance, is it a sign of anxiety, of depression if I repress my appetite because I've gorged on food all day and my appetite continuously becomes insatiable? If my appetite becomes insatiable and I don't repress it and I keep getting fatter, well, it's actually the anxiety and depression that are causing this. Are you looking for a scorn wife? I'm going to get 2 wives. Seems natural. Hey, you do you, man. No, I think 1 wife is enough for me, but if society really goes to hell in a handbasket and I have the resources to help like a widow, then that would be like an exception, but I don't want that. I don't seek that. It's a literal defense mechanism. Repression is a literal defense mechanism. And a defense mechanism isn't bad. It's what helps you keep alive. Just an alternative method of getting views. He's preaching to like maybe 5 people. Yeah. Changes them every day. I mean, he's funny though. No, I'm very consistent in my views. I mean, you can go back. I mean, we make content for hours. I mean, I have days worth of content where I'm saying the same thing. So, I'm pretty consistent. And the views are extremely logical and beneficial to society by and large. If you just go back throughout history, as I've stated numerous times before, the rise of a civilization is usually when it's its most moral and things are repressed and things aren't as accepted in society as they are in the late stages of society. Fact. Because repression helps you redirect the energy onto other things that are more important. Great to see a man with a more historically wise approach towards organizing society. Well, yeah, why don't you look at something that works? I mean, and not only that, but if societies appear to be cyclical, why not pay attention to where the rises are? I mean, you can look at crypto and stocks, and when the thing's looking bullish. Well, when society's looking bullish is when it's its most repressed, is when it's its most religious and has the highest morality, is when societies are its most bullish. Just what it is. And when they're looking bearish is when the opposite happens. So repressing feelings is what civilization is. Yeah, especially for men. Like, and this idea that we are, in this idea that men are just, you in general, anybody in general should just, be open and talk about their emotions with everybody and go to a psychologist is stupid. It's dumb. Do you think your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents did that after World War II, World War I, the Civil War, the American Revolution? No, they just woke up the next day and they got right back to it. They got a family to feed. They got a house to protect. The work don't stop. Right? No, women want a safe rock they can anchor to. Exactly. I mean, this is true. Exactly. Like a woman doesn't want a guy who's going to be sitting around talking about his feelings all the time, that he's sad and I can't do this because I'm sad. Because then at that point, the woman becomes his mom. No, a piece of colorful seaweed. Right. So, I mean, yeah, women don't want that. Society doesn't want that. And once you start allowing for it, your society is going. Fact. It is. There's no other way around it. It's just true. And people have a hard time accepting these things. Just like now we have this idea of liberation, as I mentioned before, and it's for everybody because of contraceptives, right? So women, men, be as free as you want. Women want a man. Exactly. They don't want a crybaby. They don't. Yeah, exactly. It's a very, yeah. I think dueling should be allowed in male politics too. Yeah, I mean, might not be a bad idea actually, because it'll have to show that you have some courage. So that's not a bad idea. You got to show you have courage. That you're willing to defend something. And in a duel, maybe it's just a regular fight, maybe not even necessarily, to the unaliving of another individual, just a fight. Or you can do it the other way too. I guess it depends on how sensitive the topic is and how big and major the feud is. Men today can freely insult others and know there's no real repercussions. Exactly. Most will get beat up. Yeah, for sure. It's very true. And so as I was getting to with the liberation aspect of things, with the contraceptives, it then tricks women into thinking that they can too have multiple partners throughout their life and be okay. But in reality, that isn't the case, because it takes definitely a more harmful psychological toll on her. I mean, if you ever heard of pair bonding, look into it. And it's damaging, and no man, would want a partner, if you will, that's been with a bunch of others, because men care about history, women care about the future when it comes to selection. So a woman actually wants somebody who's older than her most of the time, smarter than her, stronger than her, and who has had more experience in that regards than her. We're doing well into the domains of men, 1/4 of women. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, we're not pro woman in the West. We're actually, it's bad. It's almost like a hatred towards them, which is sad. What a joke. Enjoy your 5 people. Why are you here? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, and also, you think that's hurting my feelings? Oh my God. We have 5 people listening to me. Maybe it's because 5 of those people are actually sane. Maybe it's because it's hard to find sane people in this degenerate app. We are destroying. Yeah, exactly. Boogie Boy Forever gets it. Exactly. That's the real issue here. They want to be at home and raising a family. They do. My wife loves it. Every woman I know would much rather spend time at home with their kids. This loser. You know what the ironic thing is? Maybe it's unironic. I don't know. This guy right here says this lonely loser is on. He's probably the lonely loser in real life. I'm winning in real life, my man. I got 2 beautiful children, 1 on the way, a beautiful wife. We're doing well. I see so many aimless and depressed women, and I can't afford to have economy. Yeah. All right. We'll see if this guest is any better. But we're going to be very strict on letting people on here moving forward, and who's in the chats. What's going on? How are you?
You're going to be very strict, correct?
Yeah.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you believe you are one with God or separate from God?
I believe that I have a spark of divinity in me that can connect me with God.
You're either one with, in union, or you're not. So which one do you believe?
I just told you what I believe, and that's the Christian perspective.
There's no middle way.
There is.
You're either one with, or no. You're You're one with, or you're not it.
So where are you getting at? I just answered this. I just told you mine.
No, you said you have a spark of God. You don't have a piece of. I'm saying, are you it or are you not it, the whole?
I have a spark of divinity within me, and if I walk a
Christians
path,
always dodge
and
the
if I walk a path which aligns with our Savior Jesus Christ, I will then be in communion with God, and you around you and through you. Purgatory. Right. And I don't even know what this dude's deal was. Like, what? You're giving me a false binary? And obviously he doesn't understand Christian theology, because Christian theology says that, you do have a spark of divinity within you. That's the breath of life. Ban birth control. Why? Easy. Why do you need it? You don't need it. I know, right? I mean, trying to tell me I need to be in this false binary. It's like, let me describe to you Christian theology, my man. Everybody has a spark of divinity in them who is human, because we are made in the image of God and we have the breath of life. But then once one sins, you then steer away from God, which then disconnects you from God. But if you're sinless, which I do believe people can become sinless if they follow the path of Jesus Christ, they can then be in communion with God. As Jesus said, I want you to be one with the Father as I am one with the Father. All women should be mothers. No, that's a stupid question. And the reason I say that, I mean, no offense, is because you can only conceive during certain times of the month. Out of those times of the month, it's nearly impossible for you to conceive. It's the same as if you would use a contraceptive, the percentage. So just be disciplined. And when you do it, if you're not interested in having children, and make sure who you're being intimate with is somebody who you wouldn't care that you have children with, if by chance it happens, because people use contraceptives and they conceive still, right? So there is that chance that you will, but it's not guaranteed. And it's actually significantly lower if you're not in that period. So, yeah, just because you do away with them, nature provides its own. So, yeah, but I mean, if we're going to talk about, like, you're either one with God or you're not one with God, or you're separate. I mean, what was he trying to really get at there? And why was he trying to bully me into a position? I certainly wasn't dancing around the answer, because he proposed a false binary. It's like saying, well, your favorite color has to be red or blue. Well, it actually doesn't have to be. My favorite color could be orange. It could be white. It could be black. It could be purple. Like, it was just insane. Genetic history tells us we have twice as many female ancestors as male ancestors. Yeah, so historically meant exactly. Boogie Boy Forever gets it, because statistically, I think they went back and they conducted a study, and like over, what was it? Like only 40 to 30% of the men throughout history have passed on their genes, whereas it was like 99% of the women did. One issue is polygamous societies can become radical, enlarge harems, or create. I totally agree with that. It's obviously more coherent to have a society where monogamy is the key, but once you're going through a collapse, you may need those resourceful men to become polygamous. Just saying. Judging by your weight and views, you spend way too much time online. Why are you here? Yeah, exactly. This is true. This is very true. And I probably spend much more time offline than you do, by the way. I support moderate polygamy in modern societies to ensure that mature men procreate. Yeah, I would agree with that too. Like, I have no issue if somebody wants to do that. It's just a lot of responsibility. And it can also be a headache too, like if you look into the religions who accept it, which Christians should, because it is in the Christian doctrine. It isn't just Mormonism. I'm talking about true Christianity. This is a part of true Christianity, but we don't like to talk about that. But if you look at like Muslim cultures who are open about their polygamous nature, the dudes who have multiple wives, they'll tell you, there's still competition in the home. They have to pretty much, buy their wives the same of everything. So you need to have a lot of money, right? They need to provide their wives with the same living standards all the way around. They can't pick favorites. Like, it's a lot of work and a lot of energy. It's a lot of work and a lot of energy just to have one wife and a family. Certainly not for most men. Yes, exactly. Like, if you're a man and you can do that and that's your lifestyle, like, I have no issue with that. In a recent live, he stated at 26-year-old, he should be. You do understand that that's the age of consent in most of the United States. And you do understand that in most European countries, the age of consent is like 14, right? Just stating. And it's not me, by the way. You're misrepresenting my words. Because I have a wife who I love very much and I want to be with for the rest of my life, God willing. So I have no interest in anybody other than her. Doesn't matter. I have a video. Yeah, you do. And if you look at it, it's actually retarded. What you like. Actually, what I said makes total sense. Makes total sense. You can use your video proof. It makes total sense what I said. Anybody with a brain and who isn't triggered can look into it. There are many beautiful relationships of that age range. It depends on exactly. And it's not all about the intimacy either. That's what people fail to realize. It's way different, right? It's not about the intimacy. When it comes to those kind of relationships, it's more so about protecting, and it's more so about property rights. It's not so much about the intimacy. It isn't. It really isn't. But people, it's because of how degraded society is that they think that way. Fact. That's just the truth. So, and if you look at all the kings, the sultans, all the rulers throughout history, they've all had more than one wife. It makes sense. In the Old Testament, a lot of the patriarchs had more than one wife. It just makes sense why that would be the case. Unfortunately, it's very hard to have these nuanced conversations in our society today. And it's because, well, regardless of what the Flynn effect says, because the Flynn effect is wrong, that, intelligence is rising. It's not, provably not. The average brain power, we'll say, in the United States has gone down drastically. Drastically. Some people are estimating anywhere from like 20 to 30 points. That's insane. That means it would go from right around 100 to like 80 and 70. That's crazy. So, idiocracy appears to be a real thing, which is why I encourage smart, moral-based individuals to have a bunch of children. Because we're the future. We are. We are truly the future. The future depends on people like us. It's just a fact. It really is. I will, sir. So, unless anybody else wants to get on, have a conversation about these, talk about them, questions, comments. Anybody else have a comment in here that they want to throw out a question, feel free to. But otherwise, I'm going to get out of here. My future children will be trained to escape the coming Marxist mobs. Fascist mobs, actually, I think is what you have to worry about. Fascism is the real thing, not Marxism, I don't think. Well, really, I think it's just liberalism is really it. We use these new words. I mean, we use these old words because of historical context, but I think it's more so liberalism and not thank you for the pancake. But it's more so liberalism as opposed to Marxism and fascism. But I get what you're saying, and I totally agree with you, which is why, you should homeschool your child It's your responsibility anyway, as the parent, to homeschool your child. Like if you don't homeschool your child, then you're offshooting that responsibility to the state, to a soulless institution. Thank you for the 46 roses, Tito, and the pancake and everything else. Toxic and masculine's in the room. What's going on, man? What's going on? So a pretty chill one today, didn't get too crazy. I don't really, I'm kind of tired. Man, I've been kind of tired. Thank you for the rose, toxic and masculine. I appreciate it. In the absence of strong fathers, we are teaching our children to be weak and pathetic. Fact. It's true. God bless. It's very true. That's exactly the problem, because men don't stand up for anything today. A tiny children should bike to school in the cold rain. I mean, yeah, you could do that, or you could just homeschool your child. That's what I would say. Pick their own clothes. How to shield. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, you're making them plan, making them, use their critical thinking skills. I get it. And I respect that. I would say that you could instill all of those things via homeschool in a much better, healthier way. Get up early to milk I like it. I like where your head's at, Boogie Boy. I like it. Get up early to milk the cow. I like it. That's the goal someday for us. Get a piece of land, have our own livestock, and get our food from our land. Most of it anyway. And, I've mentioned this numerous times. The farm that I help out at, I would really like to start milking the cows, learning how to milk the cows. It sounds silly, but I don't know how to milk a cow. Oh, of course, my future children will go to leftists. Right. Yeah, exactly. But who knows? Maybe by then, no, probably not by then, but maybe your great-grandchildren or your grandchildren will go to, there'll be more conservative schools as opposed to leftist schools. That appears to be the trend in which we're heading towards anyway. So, I feel like I was just mentioning oh yeah, milking cows. I would like to learn how to milk a cow. I would actually really like to drink milk, like fresh out of the teat of a cow, like right out of it. Not like holding it and shooting it in my mouth, but like just squirted a bunch of it in the bucket, take it in, put it in a jug, put it in a cup or something, and then drink right there. I would like to do that someday. And I hear, yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is why we go to the farm that we go to, because I help out there, and they give us raw milk in exchange for the work that I do. We get about 4 to 5 gallons a week. Yeah, exactly. It's not alive. Like raw milk is alive. It has bacteria in it that's good for the body and you need. Whereas pasteurized milk is dead and it actually causes a lot of problems. BRB. All right. I mean, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in here, by the way, guys, because I've already been going for an hour. I'm getting a little tired, to be honest with you. I've had a really busy past couple of weeks. And so been getting up and going a little slower than usual. For example, raw milk has enzyme. Yeah, exactly. I have this interesting interview with Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. Brilliant woman. You can check it out on my YouTube channel, MOT Media. And we talk about raw milk. We talk about a few other things as well. But she's a wealth of knowledge. She actually has a few interesting lectures on vegetarianism and veganism and why it's horrible for you. I mean, most people are unaware that most of the stuff was pushed by Seventh-day Adventists who teamed up with Kellogg's. True. And it just supports big pharma. Yeah. Let's see. It's a true superfood, and there's a reason lactose persists gene evolved so heavily. Exactly. That's the other thing that people don't realize is that you can actually a lot of times reverse your lactose intolerance by drinking raw goat milk. And also, autism apparently can be reversed via diet as well, because it's a relationship between the gut microbiome in the brain. Dr. Natasha Campbell actually talks about this, and she says that she cured her son from that. But you have to catch it early on, like 3 years old or something, and then change their diet quick and be consistent with it. So, but all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to call it a night. I'll be back tomorrow, bringing the fire, and we'll go from there. But all right, guys, much love. Thanks for coming in. Be sure to subscribe to Everything MOT Media, MOT Today 1 on TikTok, MOT Media on TikTok, and of course, MOT News on TikTok and MOT Sports. We're going to have a bunch of backup channels just in case. And we also, is what it is. So, all right, guys, peace.